Police in Los Angeles say witnesses in the death of rapper Notorious B.I.G. are afraid to talk. At a news conference tonight, Los Angeles detectives say they are investigating the possibility that the rapper's death is related to other rap artist murders, including that of Tupac Shakur.
They thought they knew.
What they found in Biggie Smalls' garage after his death shocked everyone. Behind a locked door in Brooklyn, 14 months after his murder, crates of unreleased music, handwritten plans for scholarships, and a mysterious Lexus revealed a side of Christopher Wallace the world never knew. This wasn't just a rapper lost to violence. It was a visionary silenced. Was his death part of a deeper conspiracy? And why did these secrets stay buried for so long? Stay with us, because what's uncovered next will change everything you thought you knew about Biggie. But Biggie's story didn't end in that intersection. 1 year after his death, a hidden piece of his legacy was quietly uncovered. A small, sealed garage on St. James Place in Brooklyn was opened by his estate. Present that day were his mother, Valletta Wallace, estate attorney Alfred Pagan, representatives from Bad Boy Records, and armed security. Inside the garage, covered in dust and mystery, were 31 sealed crates and a deep blue Lexus GS 300 parked beneath a tarp. The crates weren't just full of memorabilia. They contained studio-grade Ampex reels, notebooks, and unlabeled tapes. The reels dated back to January and February 1997, just weeks before his death. One reel, labeled Brooklyn Undefeated, contained a hypnotic jazz-infused instrumental and Biggie's guide vocals, raw, unreleased, and more fearless than fans had ever heard. Another reel, called Hold Your Head Part 2, blended a gospel choir with a classic Marley Marl drum loop. Engineers were stunned. Biggie had been experimenting, pushing lyrical boundaries, and planning more than just chart toppers. He was preparing to evolve. But the biggest revelation came from the Lexus. When mechanics inspected the vehicle, they found 3 spiral-bound notebooks, receipts, and a plastic envelope beneath the back seat. The notebooks included a handwritten proposal for something called the Brooklyn Music Scholarships, annual $5,000 grants for high school seniors pursuing careers in audio engineering. Requirements included a GPA of 2.5 or higher, a demo tape, and an essay on how they'd give back to their communities. One line stood out: "If the schools ain't got boards, we'll buy boards. This ain't for taxes, this is love." Biggie had plans not just to leave music behind, but to uplift the very neighborhood that raised him. Yet, while his mother and the estate quietly sorted through this legacy, the rest of the world remained haunted by his unsolved murder. Initially, the LAPD claimed it was just another drive-by, but retired Detective Russell Poole believed otherwise. His investigation centered around David Mack, an LAPD officer later arrested for robbing a bank. Mack had known ties to Death Row Records, the infamous West Coast label run by Suge Knight, a man feared for his deep connections to Los Angeles Bloods gang culture. Poole believed Mack and other rogue officers were collaborating with Death Row to eliminate Biggie. Why? Some suspected retaliation. Tupac Shakur, Biggie's former friend turned rival, had been murdered 6 months earlier. Some believed Biggie knew more about the attack than he let on. The feud between East Coast and West Coast had become more than lyrical. It had turned deadly, and it was being exploited by powerful forces for control, fear, and profit. The conspiracy deepened when Poole suggested that evidence had been tampered with, witnesses intimidated, and leads purposely dropped. Years later, Mack died in a mysterious car explosion in downtown Los Angeles, an incident that many saw as a silencing tactic. Another street-level informant named Psycho Mike came forward with information on police involvement, but disappeared soon after making public claims. It wasn't just people who vanished. So did the evidence. Ballistic reports went missing. Key witness statements were lost. One ammunition type found at the crime scene didn't match standard LAPD or gang calibers. leading some to speculate the involvement of outside operatives or covert federal units. The FBI was rumored to have investigated, but their files, when finally leaked, were heavily redacted. Amid the chaos, Valletta Wallace and the estate chose a different path. Instead of releasing Biggie's unreleased music for quick profit, they focused on preserving his legacy. The Christopher Wallace Memorial Foundation was born in 1997, offering scholarships, educational support, and creative mentorships in Brooklyn. They digitized the tapes, hired engineers to carefully back up each reel, and encrypted the files to avoid tampering. In 2005, the estate partnered with Microsoft Research to launch Flow, a digital timeline that allowed fans to hear snippets of unreleased Biggie tracks as they progressed through key moments in his life. The Lexus appeared at the Brooklyn Museum, parked beside scholarship booths and demo stations. High school students got to remix beats using stems from the master tapes. The very community Biggie rapped about was now learning music production in his name. But even as the legacy grew, the dangers remained. In 1999, a leaked track from the garage surfaced online. It wasn't fully mastered, but it was real, and the internet exploded. The estate tightened security, implemented new protocols, and dismissed the engineer responsible. Meanwhile, Biggie's philanthropic side was finally being recognized. A 2007 volume titled The Wallace Papers was released, containing scanned notebook pages, letters to schools, and never-before-seen scholarship drafts. In the introduction, Valletta Wallace wrote, "Christopher lived fast, but he planned longer than people think. These pages prove it." Despite this progress, the murder case stayed cold. New detectives, like Greg Kading, reopened the investigation and came to similar conclusions. Biggie's death was likely a hit ordered by Suge Knight and carried out by Wardell "Poochie" Faust, a Bloods gang member. The theory gained traction, but no arrests were made. The silence persisted. As technology progressed, the Wallace estate adopted advanced preservation methods. Tapes were stored in climate-controlled vaults, possibly managed by Iron Mountain, ensuring long-term safety. Audio was digitized using museum-grade techniques, preserving every detail. Even fragile early demos, like the rare 1991 Bed-Stuy mixtape, were rescued from decaying acetates, capturing the raw beginnings of Biggie Smalls' legendary voice. Throughout the 2000s, the Christopher Wallace Memorial Foundation quietly transformed lives. Dozens of students from underserved neighborhoods received scholarships in Biggie Smalls' name. Grants that opened doors to careers in music, sound engineering, and education. Some of these recipients earned internships at top recording studios. Yet with each passing anniversary, one question lingered. Who killed Biggie Smalls? And why, after all these years, had justice never come? His murder isn't just a cold case, it's a reflection of something deeper. A mirror showing us what happens when power, corruption, and culture collide. Biggie wasn't just another victim of hip-hop's most infamous feud. He was a father, a visionary, and a poet, with community dreams tucked into notebooks and hidden under car seats. The truth behind his death may be scattered, buried in police reports, silenced witnesses, and erased evidence. But his impact? That's alive. In every beat, every rhyme, every young artist chasing their dream in the heart of Brooklyn. So, what do you believe happened? Was Biggie's murder a revenge hit, a corrupt cover-up, or something even deeper? Let us know your theories in the comments. Hit that like button if Biggie's voice still moves you. And subscribe for more deep-dive stories the industry doesn't want you to hear. Because sometimes, the greatest verses are the ones we were never meant to hear. Thanks for watching.